The third episode for the Bad Batch series Replacement is out, and today we're going to review that episode. Let's talk about it.
Have you seen Star Wars?
So let's talk about the Bad Batch episode that came out today, and of course this is going to contain some spoilers. It's going to be hard to not talk about spoilers when these episodes are like 20 to 25 minutes long, and there's only so much you can really talk about while avoiding spoilers, but there's also not anything big. And what's interesting about the series going forward is, at least for this episode, Disney did not send out any press screeners for this. So what that means is people in the media could not see this so they could review it the day it released and everything, get their reviews out before it released. They couldn't do that. So it seems like Lucasfilm and Disney is now expecting more central story elements going forward, stuff that's going to be that they want to keep basically hidden. They don't want even the press to reveal it before it happens, you know? So they're trying to keep everything under wraps going forward, and I like that. I feel like that's taking the story in an interesting route, and we saw that with this episode. This episode wasn't action-packed. It wasn't the series premiere and everything where it felt like a movie. This episode was kind of geared towards our characters and what is going to happen going forward with someone like Crosshair and, of course, the Bad Batch themselves. And we got hints of what's going to be expected, at least in my opinion. So with Crosshair, he is now teaming up with people who are no longer clones. Basically, the Empire is trying to find out something new of, should we continue to create these clones, or should we get people who enlist, and that is where we get their loyalty. They're feeling the loyalty of enlisting themselves. That's something you can't create like we can with the clones. And even the Kaminoans, I believe is how you say it, the Prime Minister of Kamino, now they're kind of freaking out, because how do you make your money when you're them? That's only through the clones. And now the clones are slowly becoming obsolete, they're now looking at doing something special. Apparently there's like a super clone. I feel like that's where we're going to get a little bit more with Omega and her story arc. And speaking of her, she did great this episode. This is going to be an interesting character going forward. I feel like we're always going to be talking about Omega in the sense of, is she growing on the audience? Is she not? Where is she going as a character? I really feel like this show is kind of darker. It's in this own unique corner of the Star Wars universe. This isn't the Clone Wars. It's definitely not Clone Wars Season 8. This is just focusing on this group of clones with Omega, and she is kind of the shining light in this very dark premise of a show. This episode was really dark. There's some scene, I mean, literally it was dark. The brightness has to be turned up on your settings, I promise you that. But when it comes to what was happening in the show, there were some dark moments that made you go, wow, okay, I'm glad I don't have any kids watching this. But if they do have someone to relate to like Omega, who is still, I'm not going to say growing on me, but I feel heartfelt moments with her. There's a moment in this where Wrecker gives her a gift, and it's very sweet, and it makes you go, oh, it's cute, you know, it's just cute, and it's heartfelt. And I like Wrecker a little bit more after this episode. That's kind of where I was talking about, of the story and the characters are becoming more important with this episode. And I like that about this series so far, is because the first 4 episodes of The Bad Batch from Season 7, I did not care about any of them. I didn't even remember all of their names. I just slept through most of it. Even upon rewatching it for the new series, The Bad Batch series, I did not like rewatching their episodes in the Clone Wars. I just found them very boring. Now, I completely changed my mind. Hunter, of course, is the best character so far. That's the one you care about the most because he relates to Omega. He has that father and daughter kind of relationship with her. But then we get to someone like Wrecker, who was kind of annoying. He just kind of seemed like the generic, you know, big, bulky idiot guy. But this episode, you felt a little bit more heart with him, and you're also curious on what's happening with his head. He says he hit his head, and me and Miss Only were talking about it when we were watching it, and I'm speculating, and so is she, that this is something with his inhibitor chips. They're kind of laying breadcrumbs on what to expect going forward. We're going to deal with the inhibitor chips. The Kaminoans are going to bring out their super soldier clone or whatever. Crosshair is feeling a little bit of guilt and kind of, he's probably confused. I mean, Crosshair is going to be a very unique route on what they're going to do with his inhibitor chip. And like I said, you know, Tech was talking about the inhibitor chip as well. So Omega's growing. There's a lot of breadcrumbs that were being laid with this episode, and I'm very curious on where that's going to go, because even the Empire is going, no more clones, we're going into purely people that we're enlisting. And we see one of the guys kind of hold resentment towards Crosshair, being like, hey, something's up with the clones, there's a reason they're bringing us real people in. So it's kind of a new era, it's kind of a new generation, and we're seeing that play out in real time in the Star Wars universe, and it's a very unique perspective to go on. So I liked this episode. I thought it was not boring. I thought it continued the story in a very good way. Was it better than last week's? In a story sense, yes, but in a fun sense, no. So I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. I think this is still a solid episode, and I still think the series is surprising me in the sense that I'm not upset with it or bored with it yet. Because when I look at episodes 1, 2, and 3 for the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, I watch that and I'm like, it's fine, but there was no real story or substance at that point that I cared about. So far, I care about these characters. I think the story still needs to do a little bit more in terms of narrative to kind of drive me home in terms of pure interest, because right now my interest is what's going to happen to the Bad Batch. Are all these guys going to die at the end of the story? That's where I'm interested in, and I'm also interested on who Omega is and what her entire deal is going to be. Other than that, the story, it doesn't overall intrigue me that much, but that's not a bad thing. I think the show is slowly building it into something worthwhile, but that's what I appreciate so far, is the first 3 episodes are getting us used to kind of the tone that this show is setting, the characters that we're going to be dealing with, and now kind of the relationships between all of them, and the nostalgic aspect of someone like Crosshair looking back on his memories of the Bad Batch, but also us as an audience looking back as the Clone Wars are over. This is a completely different era. We're out of the prequel trilogy era in a way. This is a new territory for Star Wars in terms of spelling it out for us in a narrative form, through animation, through television, you name it. This is a new uncharted time of Star Wars history, and I'm kind of glad to be exploring this with the Bad Batch, because it does feel dark. It does feel like the end of an era for the clones and a new era of the Empire, and I think that's really intriguing. But some of your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you guys think about this episode 3 for the Bad Batch replacements? Did you like it? Did you not? What did you like about it, and what did you not like about it? And are you looking forward to the show going forward? Episode 4 comes out next Friday. I will be here, and tomorrow night is Chatooine, so make sure to tune in with me, Darth Daddy Lunga, and the Goldman tomorrow for Chatooine. So thank you all for watching. I'm Star Wars Only. If you like this video, please give it a like or a comment, because it does about the channel. If you enjoy Star Wars Only, that's me. All you have to do is become an Only fan, and that's not what you think. All you got to do is click the subscribe button, hit that bell notification, and you will stay up to date on the latest news in Star Wars. See you all next time, my friends, and may the Force be with you always.